What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of All Things Super. I am one of your hosts, Spider, and I am joined by Mr. VIP, Frankie Washington. How are you doing today, sir?
I am infinitely awesome. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. I'm doing wonderful. The
I know
rare.
it seems like it's downplayed, huh? It seems like it was just, wait a minute, that's not how he normally does it.
I mean, it's a different day. We're recording on a different day. We're recording at night instead of during the daytime. It's a different mood. It's a change of
Oh,
pace
why
with
it's so dark
things.
in here?
It's a little
Don't
bit,
say
yeah.
it like that because you make it sound like I'm crazy for wearing sunshades at night.
I
But it's
mean,
not night.
they
It's
wrote a
just
whole song
sun.
about wearing sunglasses at night.
I wear my sunglasses. Is that the song? It's not the song.
I mean, it's close to
I wrote it.
it.
Original lyrics by Mr. VIP Frankie
There you
Washington.
go.
And you guys can sing too, right there. I wore my sun. It's gonna be a bop. It's for the summer.
But if this is your first time checking us out, first of all, welcome. Glad to have you here. Like you to have a
What did
seat.
we click on? What is this?
Stay for a while. Hopefully you
Why was
enjoy
this
yourself.
recommended to me?
But this is All Things Super, where every week we take a piece of superpowered movie, TV, or trailers. We watch it, we review it, we react to it, we break it down, and we ask the question, is it super? But if you like that,
Is
you
it?
can subscribe to the channel. You can find us on all of your major podcast streaming platform services. Or if you want to join in the conversation, you can tweet at us at
Man,
ATSuperPod.
man. I want to see like all that on a t-shirt. Like just have somebody look. Ah! That would be awesome. I wear T-shirts all the time, right? And this is no exception with the ATS shirt. So every time I wear a shirt, I swear I'm a billboard because
I
someone's
mean,
always coming
yeah.
up to me in the gym saying your shirt's awesome, or I read your shirt. Oh my God, that shirt's so funny. And hey, if you feel like you're a walking billboard, let us know because we'll give you a shirt to wear.
Basically advertise for us.
Basically, hey, isn't that what it's coming down to?
I mean,
Yes.
essentially, yeah.
Let's get back on what we came here for, Spider, because they're like, what is this?
You mean, we gotta get into it before we get into it, but we're getting into it this
It's a
week,
conversation.
right? We got to talk about it. We got to talk about it before we talk about it. We got to be about it before we be about it. But you got to stay ready so you never have to get ready. And so we're staying ready so we can talk about The House of the Dragon. HBO
This is what they
Max's.
sub with the little equations and stuff when you were saying talk about it to be about it. It's just all that's going on right now.
It's just blowing your mind. But yeah, so we're talking about the HBO Max, the newest series from HBO Max, Game of Thrones, The House of the Dragon.
I'm trying to do the theme music. I clearly am nailing it.
Perfect.
Clearly.
Perfect pitch.
Thank you.
So let's talk about it. Talk about The House of the Dragon. Now, I will preface this, and you can come for me in the comments if you want to. You can put me on blast. You can be like, Spider, what the hell have you been doing with your life? But I have, until this day, never watched a single episode of Game of Thrones. I didn't know.
The audience and I gasp as we listen to you say this.
Not that
What?
I didn't know about Game of Thrones. I've seen memes.
Were you in a
I've heard people
cave
talking about it.
with
Nope.
Tony Stark?
Was not in the cave with Tony Stark.
Were you
with a box of scraps?
hostage?
No, I was not. I was not under a
If
rock.
somebody doesn't
I was
name
not marooned
where
at sea. I wasn't on a deserted island. I just had no
Tom
intention.
Hanks was there.
Yeah, Tom Hanks was there. I wasn't there with him. But
Where was that?
I just had no intentions of watching Game of Thrones. It
Why-
wasn't something that
Does it not
interested me.
interest you?
It didn't interest me, and as many people that talked about it, a lot of people say it was great. And I'm not shitting on Game of Thrones. I'm not saying anything bad about Game of Thrones. I have no opinion of it because I had never watched it, and it was just something I just had no interest in watching. And then after you reach a certain point, and you're like, if I pick this up, that means I have to binge probably like 5 seasons of it at this point, and I just didn't feel like devoting the time and energy to it. So I just
I can
stayed away from
respect
it. I
none
just
of that.
complete
I can respect none of it
like
because Game of Thrones is, and the fact Game of Thrones, as I remember, and it can come from me in the comments if they choose to, was like the last huge social event that everyone was watching. Like when the finale was coming, we all were united. You know, like you used to be when you watched the Cosby Show. You can go to school and you be like, "Hey, did you watch Fresh Prince? Or did you watch the Cosby Show? Or did you watch A Living Color? Did you watch Living Single? Did you watch?" You're looking at me like you don't know these shows,
I mean, I
but
know the
everyone knows.
shows.
Did you watch Martin? Like, did you see Def Comedy? Like, these are water cooler conversations and topics because that's how it kind of grows.
Sure, you ain't the
Everyone's
movies,
watching
that's
the
all.
show, and I'm okay with it. I think the gray kind of gives it away, but I'm old. And you talked about these things. So when this show was wrapping up, everyone was on the edge thinking, what was it going to be? Now the ending is extremely controversial because there are
Right.
some that love it. The majority hate it because we were on this epic ride and we were looking for a conclusion that would have made sense narratively. Instead, we got, personal vendettas and beefs that was behind the scenes that we couldn't make things come together and just how we say they rushed it. They kind of knuckle. I don't want to get demonetized and knuckle dragged it, and we got what we got. So a lot of the fans feel cheated, and this is an opportunity to right a wrong. We're going back into some of our favorite areas, meeting a new cast, but I guess the same breed of people. I'll use that right. No, I did. You shook your head like,
I'm like,
no, he didn't.
okay. Well, I wasn't shaking my head for that. I'm
Yeah,
just like, sure.
well, it's the same. It's Targaryens, and
Right. The same
they have
family.
some right, just generations and generations and generations before. I
Right.
mean, this show, if you are a fan of Lord of the Rings, here we go. I mean,
Game
sorry,
of Thrones.
sorry. Yeah, across universes
Rings
all
of
the
Power.
time.
No, Rings
So
of
yeah,
Power is something completely different. That's on
that's
Amazon.
a totally different show. Well,
Totally different
maybe
show.
if this was
Totally different
good enough,
universe.
we'll get Spider to watch it because
I don't know about that one. I don't know about
he's
that one.
clearly not into the orgs and the well. That's what the orgs
Yeah,
are. The
no. I mean,
orgs and the elves are over there.
I've watched the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. I watched the first 3 movies,
Oh,
and
so
that
it's
was it.
like that.
And that was
Oh,
it.
you'll watch that though. You'll watch that.
I mean, Game of Thrones
Okay.
wasn't a movie. Maybe if Game of Thrones was a movie, maybe I would have watched the movie.
Oh, that's
See?
controversial because the stuff that happened in Game of Thrones, there's no way they could have got it more. It's just too much world building, too much content. No,
Right. No,
seriously,
I understand that. I mean, what there are
the
5 books?
watching these characters go through their journeys and become who they are, it's just part of what makes the story great. To
Right.
see their motivations and see what drives them, and then they gut punch you in with things that you weren't expecting. It was a very good show, very controversial show, very talked about show. And like I said,
Yeah.
from what I remember, it was like one of the last biggest shows we were united with. And then, everyone doesn't watch, uh, you know, Idol or whatever unites us now. I don't know. Clearly, I'm not a part of a united group of people watching the same stuff.
Right.
We're all divided now. We're all watching different things, but this was one of the shows we all were watching. We say that to say this. If you have not watched the first 8 series or 8 seasons of Thrones, you don't have to. These are two totally separate timelines, but they're similar, but they're different, right? Like I said, you got Targaryens and you got all these class of people, so you know the names.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if you don't know the names, you're getting introduced to them.
I like I said, I never watched Game of Thrones, but I've heard the different names, the Baratheons, the Starks, and stuff like that. So hearing
Right.
those names in the House of Dragon, they're like, okay, I'm familiar with the names at least. I wouldn't be able to like make those direct connections as to how far removed, because we know I think the beginning of the show said it was
72,
172
something
years
like that.
before
Yeah.
Daenerys Targaryen, who is the direct descendant
Right.
of the House Targaryen, the House
I
of the
would,
Dragon.
as a new creator, I would want to distance myself from all of that too. And I think they did a good job of doing exactly that. It was like, wait a minute, before y'all start to affiliate us with them, we don't know them. Y'all from the same block, but we don't know them though.
We
We
on the
from
other
the
side of the
same
block.
block, but we don't.
We on the north
Everybody
side of
in
the
the
block.
block don't know each other.
They on the south
Right,
side.
right. They way down there, and we don't really know them. But if you ready for this, we got something to show y'all. And I think that was a smart thing to do to
Mm-hmm.
distance yourself. It's kind of like how I'm not gonna cross the universe. I'm gonna try my best not to cross universes,
I
guys. This
mean, it's
is
never
what I'm
stopped
doing.
you
I'm trying
before.
to. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be better. So, we got the situation that the familiarity comes into play, but yet still a great new storyline, which I don't want to give too much away at this point. So I'm gonna refrain from even hitting the horn and let
Wow.
you tell the family how you feel about House of Dragons.
So if we're not hitting the horn, give it spoiler-free
If we're
reactions.
not
We're
hitting the
not hitting the
horn.
horn. Let's talk about
Because
spoiler-free
if you
reactions.
haven't seen it,
Mm-hmm.
you should really go and watch it. I'll say that. If you're a fan of the old stories and the lore and everything that has to do with Thrones of Horror, this is right up your alley. You should definitely watch this. Or if you never watched it before, this is a great way to start because it's essentially starting at the beginning. And then if you like what you see in this series, then go ahead and watch uh, series 1 through 8 with regular Thrones.
Right. And I mean, still, it's not really starting at the beginning because you had the whole like you sent me a video that kind of showed you the history of the House of Targaryen and how they led up to where they are right now, where we are with the House of the Dragon. And just I appreciate that video because it at least gave me some sort of frame of reference as to what's going on. I can't say that I remembered everything about the video, but I did give me idea enough so when they made reference to those things in the show or in the first episode, I could be like, oh, okay, this is somewhat what they're talking about. But no spoilers, just kind of giving general thoughts on the first episode. Being a person that have not seen the Game of Thrones, have not watched a single episode, have vague references or vague knowledge of just a few of the characters and everything, I thought that the episode was pretty good. I thought it was a little bit of a slow start, which for a show that's going to be doing world building, of course, you have to kind of get into it. You have to understand exactly where everyone is at this point in time. Spoilers. There's dragons. I'm sorry, we said no spoilers, but I gotta spoil it.
It's in
There's
the
dragons.
title. I was sitting here thinking, like, is that a spoiler? It's in the title. You go to I came to see dragons. It was
Right.
in the title. So
It's in the title. It's in the trailer. But we're getting
and they
dragons.
give it to you
Yeah, we
right
get
in the
dragons right off
beginning.
the bat.
Boom.
And and shows, especially these days, every show is always about what about the CGI? What about the VFX? Oh, it don't look good. I mean, I feel like you can't. It's hard to have a practical dragon.
Was
Not
that me?
impossible. Not
Was
impossible.
that me? Was that impersonation of me? Because that
No,
sounded like
it
me.
wasn't
I don't
you.
remember saying it though.
It wasn't you. No, but of course, the dragons are CGI, but the dragons look good. The dragons look really good. The VFX in the show look really good.
Is there another way to do the dragon besides practical and CGI?
I mean, no, that's the
Somebody
only.
got
It's
a
the only
dragon
two.
egg that we
It's
can
the only. It's
borrow?
the only two ways. There's no real
Call
dragons that you can
fabulous.
find out in a while. I'll be like, hey, let me train this dragon
FABO.
real quick, bring him on set.
Right.
So this could be my.
Call Jordan Hill. I think
Right.
Jordan Hill got, since he was training horses, they treat it the same way.
They might have
It's
some
just like,
dragons.
okay.
Just don't put the mirror ball in front of his face and freak it out.
Crazy.
But no, it's just being introduced to the characters of the show. Of course, we have the Targaryen family, who are your main characters, your main family, of what they're going through and how their legacy is in jeopardy just because of what's going on. Again, no spoilers, we're not going to get into it, but being able to see that story, being able to see it fresh from the ground up where this show kicks off. It took a little bit for me to get into it, but once the story starts to develop and we're introduced to sort of what seems like is going to be our main antagonist, I'm not going to say for sure if this is what's going to be our main antagonist, because who knows. There were a couple things that happened throughout the show where I thought that I knew what way the show was going to go, and then it kind of went a different way. So I'm just going to say that, I'm just going to throw my expectations out the window. I'm going to stop trying to be, this analytical person, be like, okay, well, I know where this is going to go. I know how, they're thinking when they're writing this stuff, because they threw some curveballs. And so, which I appreciate, because you want to go into the show. You don't want to go into a show where you like, I know everything that's going to happen, because it takes the enjoyment out of it.
It's boring.
So,
predictable.
Exactly. Right. You don't want it to be predictable.
Horror movies. It's like, don't go in there. Oh, he's in there. Wow.
Right. Exactly. But
where else could he have been? In the basement. Okay. It's so sad, man.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was like a Geico commercial or something like that, where it was a group of kids that were running from no murder or whatever, and it's like, let's go, go this way. Like, no, let's go this way. It's like, you guys, why don't we just get into the running car? And it's like, no, let's go into the shed that's full of chainsaws. It's like, be
surprised, here I am.
Right. The killer was literally
with a chainsaw.
They're hiding behind a chainsaw. The killer's looking at him. He's like, idiots.
You deserve to die.
Right. But
no one deserves to die. We're only joking.
And again, I'll say this is for me because, me coming in like very brand new. For those who read the books, and of course those who read the books, then you know what's going to happen, or you have a better frame of reference as to what the story is going to, which way the story is going to go. But yeah, so I like the little, I won't even call them twists, because they weren't necessarily twists, but the little surprises, the things that I didn't expect were going to happen. But I thought the episode, I thought it was pretty good. I liked it. I can see myself. It has me invested enough, because sometimes there are those shows where you're like, okay, well, I watched the episode, it was all right, but I'm not that invested in the story. I don't really, I'm not too interested in to see what's happening next. I'll watch it, but it's not like pulling at me. Like, I need to know. I would say for episode 1, I'll watch episode 2, but it's not one of those ones where I'm sitting on the edge of my seat just waiting for Sunday night. I was like, oh my God, I got to get to episode 2. I'm not that pulled in. Not to say that I won't be, but as of right now, I'm not like that into it. But I'm interested enough to want to watch episode 2.
My God. Oh my God.
And that's as much as I could get into without spoiling it.
That's what you're saying. Well, guess what? Count it down with me, y'all. 3, 2, 1. That is your official spoiler warning. I'll let you know, if you haven't watched Game of Thrones, House of Dragons, and you want to continue to watch this video, know that everything is going to be spoiled for you at this point. If you're rocking with us, let's go.
Let's go.
What do you need to see, dude? They killed a baby. God
damn. They didn't kill a baby. The baby died.
The writers killed the baby. Well, that baby could have lived. If you're a writer, you're playing God with these characters. And though the books may say one thing, this is a loose adaptation that, they can take a legacy to go whichever way they want. Deal with the backlash, but tell your story. They killed a baby.
Right.
Episode 1, like, I watched Game of Thrones all the way to season 8 where they botched the ending, and they gave you like all of Game of Thrones in this one episode.
Okay.
You wasn't expecting that to happen. You was like, whoa, even though I was watching it with the Mitchells, you're like, this is like the Red Wedding. And so some of it was uncomfortable to watch, and that is true Game of Thrones style. It's like, this is what you want, live in this, so watch this. how Rick told Morty, no, watch this. This is the prestige. So it was interesting because it crossed it with the events that's going on, which are equally brutal, and then you're watching a mother, you're watching a father and a husband have to make a decision about whether his heir lives or his wife dies. And the reality is you
That was
can't be
not a hard
upset with
decision for him.
anyone because, well, I think he kind of struggled with it.
I don't think he
But
did.
think about,
I think
one of
that
them had the, well, he,
I think that he was so fully convinced that he was going to have a son that I don't think that he had too much of a struggle. Did he feel bad about it? Yes, but I don't think he had too much of a struggle because his main priority was to have an heir to the
was to
throne.
have an heir.
Yeah.
Right. But damn,
So
damn.
so what I was
So
saying, the
even if
things that
that's
I
the
didn't,
case,
yeah,
Karma's a bitch
it
because you
is
can clearly see he's already sickly. He's
right.
got some infection going on that's not really healing right. They try to cauterize it. I can guarantee you they're still not healed.
Oh, of course not. And that's another
And he
thing
keeps cutting
why
himself on the
on the
throne.
throne. Well, I mean, you're sitting on the throne of sword, so I mean, it's straight up iron.
Idiocy. Idiocy.
Nothing about that throne is comfortable. Not a single bit of it.
That's a debt trap. Just who
But
thought of this? Like,
I don't know. But see, and so the thing about it, what I was saying was that the part, well, one of the parts where I thought where I knew it was going, but then they kind of flipped it on me was I knew that because he's, got something wrong with him, it may, back in that day, it's not like there's modern medicine. So they were talking about, they had to like take a little scrape of it and then send it off somewhere to have it looked at to see if there's anything else that's been written about it so they can figure out what's wrong with him. So I'm thinking that, of course, he may not survive throughout the series. And so, again, that motivation for him to have an heir, he's telling everybody, I know this is a boy. I know this is a boy. I know this is a boy. They even went as far as to say in the show that there's no way that we can tell the gender of the child. And so when it came down to them saying that, there's an option where you can save one of them or you can lose both of them. And I knew then, I was like, okay, and this is where I was like, all right, well, I kind of know where this is going. He's gonna like to save the child. They're gonna birth the child. I thought that the child was going to be a girl because they started the prologue of the show saying that the king before him was because this king is
who was
Veneris.
also sick.
Right. Veneris'
Right.
father, which I can't remember his name, was also sick, and his sons, both of his sons, had died, and so they were trying to figure out who was going to be the heir. And his
And
daughter, he had a daughter, but they
Mm-hmm.
would not allow the daughter to be the heir to the
The
throne.
sexism.
Right. And so my thought was because they led with this, because they didn't want a woman to take the throne, that child that he was so convinced, because they were so heavy handed with saying it's going to be a boy, it's going to be a boy, it's going to be a boy. My thought was it's going to be a girl. And so this is going to be the next heir to the throne. But it was born a boy. I was like, oh, well, shit, he had a boy. I'm like, okay. But then the boy died. I was like, okay, well, this is kind of what I thought all along, that the next heir is going to be a girl, because now since his son had died, his brother, who would be next in line as the next male, who's just a straight up asshole for
If nothing else, if nothing else,
he's violent, he's impulsive, he's very crass, not the most what's the word that I'm looking for, not the most trustworthy person, but he would be the next male in line to be the heir to the throne. But Veneris also has a daughter, and so she has now been appointed as the heir to the throne. So of course that's going to cause all kind of conflict. And like the king before him said, the only thing that's going to tear the house of Targaryen apart is itself. And it seems like that's what's going to happen, because nobody's going to be happy. We've seen the rest of the families in the council. They were very adamant against having a female be the heir to the throne. They were saying that, in however many years, there's never been a queen, and there were arguments for both sides. And I mean, now it's like he's very adamant that my daughter is going to be the heir because he's seen. I guess he's seen, like, not to say that's the error of his ways because he was just trying to keep up with tradition and everything, but he saw
Mhm.
his focus,
His
his
options are fucked.
well, yeah, his options are fucked. But for him, because it was like one of the things that his wife said before she died was that she had so many miscarriages and she had so many children being like born stillborn,
What a
dying at
twist.
birth. And she's
Right.
like she's mourned all the children that she can. She's been trying so hard to give him a son, and it's taking a toll on her body. And to now he's like I've done because I think he's partially blaming himself because he's like it's my fault that I've lost both my wife and my child because I was pushing so hard for her to have a son instead of when I had a daughter just appointing her as the heir to the throne. If I would have just did that, we wouldn't have had to keep trying to have another child. I would still have my wife. We would also have our heir. We'd be one big happy family. So, but yeah, that was one of the parts that was like,
Heartbreak.
yeah, and it is sad for him. But I'm glad that we see that not everybody is of that same mindset. Like we said, the sexism, like, oh, women can't do this because I mean, because we see then just back in those times, it's kind of like medieval times. I'm sure the fictional land of Westeros this happened like long, long, long time ago or whatever. But
Yeah, like two
and
weeks.
yeah, just the other day.
Like 2 weeks. 2 weeks
Right.
ago. Time machine.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
But it's sort of surprising to see that he's not of that mindset. Is he I'm not sure what the relationship of the oldest the former king's oldest daughter. I don't know if that's like his cousin or what relationship she has with him.
Yeah, it's the cousin. He was appointed. He skipped over his son's and he went to his cousin,
Mm-hmm.
and now they have it.
Right. Okay.
So it's so interesting that again, I already hit the horn. That we now have. There it is again. Music to my ears. I can speak freely. We have the one that should have been queen, and they know her as this. Someone nicknamed her that.
Yeah, the queen that never was.
The queen that never was. You have to, and this is something they did in Game of Thrones. You have to live with these titles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's the craziest thing. You have to live with these titles. One of the jokes was when Daenerys came to King's Landing and she was introduced, it was like a long list of titles. And we had our titular character. Yes, if you pause it, you can slow it down and see that I said it wrong. Character Jon Snow, when his name was announced, he was like Jon Snow of the North. These names stay with you. Mm-hmm. So to know her as that is know the shame or embarrassment that comes along with it every time someone says your name.
Right.
And it's like, that's kind of up. And she has to live with that. So now you see a queen. And now you're like, as if I could quote Silk Sonic, this bitch is a kid. She asked for it. She didn't want to be. She's dealing with the fact that she's feeling abandoned because all her father wants to do is have a son.
Right.
When she's a perfectly good daughter and love her and embrace her. Just because she's not a boy doesn't mean she doesn't exist. And it feels like that's exactly what's been happening throughout her whole life. So the resentment, is there. You could cut it with a spoon because it's just that it's like Jello or flan or whatever your favorite dessert may be, maybe pudding, maybe ice cream. It's thick. Thick. Make me stutter. So you can cut it and either she's going to help guide her, maybe manipulate her, or she's going to be looking for what's rightfully hers.
Right.
And that dynamic plays into this. We don't know which way it's going to go. I'm invested. Yeah. I want to see. There's so many things that was good about the original Thrones, like it was the backstab and then the whispers and this is happening here. And when you had Peter Dinklage play into the Game of Thrones, it's almost sad because I almost need him here. But I'm pretty sure we'll get someone that, some no pun intended, some large shoes to fill because the way he played Tyrion Lannister was just brilliant. And someone has to be tactical and strategic enough to navigate through these individuals and all their personalities and know overall what's going on and try to work their agenda. So it's almost like working the back channels to try to manipulate this person, and very intelligently done. And it's set in a time period in a piece where you can't just call 911.
Right.
Like you got to figure it out. And guess what? The walkers are coming. So if you've seen the first 8 seasons, you know the walkers were a huge thing inside of Game of Thrones. This is a force that you cannot just reason with. You can't negotiate with it. It is pure death. It is the long winter, and you don't survive it. No one's just, well, someone obviously had to survive. So how did they beat them? Because if they didn't survive, we wouldn't have got Game of Thrones. So what did they do to win? Again, questions that we need answers for. And the only way you're going to get those answers is if you keep watching. Spider.
Yeah, I would just I just wanted to take a second to look up how many episodes we got. So we got 8. We have 10 episodes of House of the Dragon. So it's a good bit of time, because you know, if you listened to the show before, we've talked about these different Disney Plus series events, these mini series that run in with like 6 to 8 episodes.
I knew that couldn't last. They're just not realistic.
Yeah, so we got 10 episodes. So it's a good bit of time in order to convey some information, to tell a fully fleshed out story. And so at the end of episode 1, we have sort of this kind of a sizzle reel that shows you clips of everything that's going to happen within this season. If you've watched that, you see that a sizzle reel. It's just a bunch of clips. Sizzle.
Like fajitas?
Yeah. Like when you're in Applebee's. No, we're not gonna call it fajita roll. I feel like that's
it's sizzles.
I feel like that's subtly racist without being racist.
Oh wow! It just made me hungry. I don't know how that turned to that. Okay, no fajitas for you, buddy.
No, but so we've seen different clips. So we see that there's going to be a time jump at some point to where our queen, Rhaenyra, she's going to be a little bit older. She's gonna be probably on her way, if her father's not, dead at that point. She'll be on her way to becoming queen. And of course, there's gonna be some conflict.
She's queen.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's heir to the throne right now, so she's princess.
She's queen. She was princess before. I think the end of the episode, they were giving her loyalty. Giving her a field, so she's queen.
Well, I mean, she's still the princess because she's princess until she assumes the throne. She's the heir to the throne, so until she takes the throne, then she's queen.
The king's dead. He got STDs or something. Everybody knows he's out. Listen, one of the things that keep your friends close and your enemies closer plays a part in too, because we haven't really even gotten into the other positions. Talking about there's so much going on. The hand of the king. I forget the gentleman's name.
Otto Hightower.
He played Kirk Connors in The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So he sends his daughter to console the king.
I didn't really like that.
Welcome to Thrones, buddy. You didn't like that.
No, I didn't like that.
I can guarantee
that was one of those parts I was like, that makes me uncomfortable. I was like, I don't know what they're going to show, but I'm hoping that they don't show something that I don't want to see.
Yeah, well, they're not trying to get canceled either, but at the same time, they will push that envelope until it's open. An open mail. Because that's what Game of Thrones was known for. The when before I watched it, I was like you. I heard about it. I think when I started watching, I think they were in season 3 or 4 or something like that. And then I started watching it, and then I didn't get into it because exactly of well, I don't want to spoil it for you, Spider. So man. there's a lot
I
of
mean,
there's a lot of incest that goes on in Game of Thrones. Like
well,
in
yeah,
episode
I
one,
kind of
one of the yeah, because the idea is to keep their bloodline pure,
right, and it's the
and
whole
there's
thing. You
they
can't be with the Targaryen. You can't keep the bloodline pure unless you mate with another Targaryen. And I mean, you're already all
yeah.
family,
So
so yeah. No, I understand that.
so they was on that Big Sean before Big Sean was on that Big Sean. It was like I don't fuck with you. You little until they kept it in the family. They must have been from the South. I wonder if Western. No, I'm just joking. Not that South. So they kept it. They kept it real close in the family, and you didn't know that what you were going to see because you were hoping that you wasn't going to see that. But it's and again, that's what makes the show so special because you don't know what you're going to see.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the battle when the soldiers started fighting each other, you didn't know you were going to see that. There were if you ever watch Amazon The Boys, it's like The Boys in medieval times.
Yeah, I mean
So
that
you,
they were having the tournament or whatever, and that just kicked off, just kind of out of nowhere. Like dude got beaten. It's like, you know what? I'm tired of you motherfuckers, and I'm just going
testosterone was
off.
high back then. It was off the charts. It's not. There wasn't no lattes back then.
No.
It was coffee that was still in bean form. You would just had to chew it. Good morning. It's good morrow.
Yeah.
Just bean, straight beans. What I'm saying is, it's graphic. It's what pulls us in because we don't know how far they'll go, or we don't know how light they'll take it. Thank God that they took it in the lighter direction because I think that may have been too much, but the implements were there. Like you could see, he didn't even move towards her, but we kind of get enough to know where it would go. Now, if if you really want to throw a monkey wrench in there, I don't want to spoil anything for future episodes. So there's a possibility that something may come about that, and it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out because I can see that her father is cunning. And same like I was saying with Peter Dinklage, he may be that mind to manipulate things in the background and even using his own daughter to promote his own position of power to power.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he gets the throne for a short period of time, and we have to see the young princess get her throne back. This story can go so many different ways.
Yeah. Well, we also got to see that the princess is fairly smart as well. I mean, I guess her and Allison, they were laying out in the garden. She was testing her, quizzing her on
Right?
the history and
Right?
everything. And Rhaenyra is, kind of, just not necessarily playing dumb, but sort of just like completely unaffected by, just doesn't really care. Just kind of just giving like one word answers like, oh, well, like who did this person take as a husband? Oh, some guy, a man, some sir something. And
Yeah, she don't care.
Allison was like, if you're going to be like, if you want to be taken seriously, you have to be able to know this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
Rhaenyra is like, I don't care. It's like, I don't care.
Right.
But when they get ready to leave, because Allison is kind of offended, and I think Allison is probably kind of offended because she's outside of that family. and she'll never
Mm-hmm.
be able to be a part of that family. So she's kind of stuck
Mm-hmm.
in her station where she is. So I think she was a little bit put off by it. But then Rhaenyra gets up and she's like, boom, rattles it off like this. It's like, I know my stuff. Don't try to tell me that I
Mm-hmm.
don't know it. I know
Don't
it.
doubt me. Don't you
Right.
doubt me.
But we see that she has some intelligence, some knowledge about her, and she's very observant. You can see that she's
Mm-hmm.
listening, and
Mm-hmm.
she's not afraid to say what she wants either, because when her father
Oh yeah.
calls for her to tell her, exactly what's going on and that he wants to appoint her as the heir, the first thing she said, she's like, my whole life you've ignored me because you've wanted a son, and now you send your soldiers to come and fetch for me. Like, why? You like, so she's not afraid to say what's on her mind.
Cause it's time.
Right. So it'll be interesting to
Come
see
when
like
Dad call you.
where that energy gets her, because she's one of the ones that we saw that her one of the first things that we saw her in, she was riding a dragon, and she got back to her mom, and her mom was saying that I don't like you riding the dragons without me, it makes me nervous and all this other kind of
Yeah, she
stuff, and
smell
it's
like a
like,
dragon.
right.
She smell like dragon.
And so
Nobody want to
she
smell like dragon.
I go take a bath because you smell like dragon.
Yeah, you smell of dragon. Just like, oh shit, Cisco.
Right. But so she has a skill, she has an intelligence, she has the tongue, she has the wit, and so it'll be interesting to see where her story
Either one would have
leads.
been all right. Either one would have been okay. It's okay.
But yeah,
No,
just
here's
seeing
the
those
thing.
scenes.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna hit this horn again, Spider.
I
Mer,
mean,
I think we need to get captions. Okay, because if it comes to pass that she's pregnant and carrying the child of the throne, the true heir of the king. Woo!
you talking about
Wee!
Allison?
Yes, I am.
Oh yeah, that.
How would that put her in a position? Would she defend the throne? Would she turn it over to her younger? Would she train him? I'm just saying, there's so many ways that this storyline can go.
Right.
It's almost like a blank piece of paper, because it's setting up so many dynamics that can play out and maybe will play out. I can't say for sure because they didn't, consult me in the writer's room when they did this. But it's good to see that they have a lot of ways that the story can go, because that'll be interesting if it plays that way. We get to see how these characters just handle these situations, and nothing is off the table, because we've seen. First of all, I want to preference this. Anytime that someone's trying to stop something from happening, it ends up normally happening. Have you ever tried to put something down, like your keys down? I'm going to put these keys right here so I can see them. They won't get lost, and I can pick them up when it's time to go.
And then you
And then
lose
you
your keys.
forget that you lose your keys. It's like, if you would have just put them where you normally would them, then you probably would have found, because your routine is that. But regardless of that beautiful information that I just shared with you, I just helped somebody find their keys just now. Did you know that?
let
So
us
regardless
know in
of
the comments if you
that,
just found your keys.
Mr. Yeah, we got so many different storylines that can play a part into this major keys, into this story, and I'm excited to see it. Let's talk about our antagonist, or is he the antagonist? The uncle of the queen, Mr.
Daemon
It's a big
Targaryen.
debate. Daemon Targaryen. Uh, Daemon Targaryen came in on the throne. When you saw him, he creeped in through the night.
Mm-hmm.
He arrived that morning. When the princess saw him, he was sitting on the throne. He makes no secret about his rights to the throne, to a kingdom, the United Kingdom of the Sylvan, Westeros and the North and all this other stuff. Not Dorne. Dorne never bent the knee. Dorne's not bending knees. They're not boys to men. They're not bending the knee. Get you some tissue. So what I'm saying is he making no secret that he's coming for the throne. He kind of laxed on it, but he kind of does what he wants. He
Right.
went into the city and murdered people. Granted, all the people that he murdered
We're
were
criminals.
criminals.
Right.
So someone had to let them know that this guy was a criminal or that guy was a criminal. He castrated a man. He decapitated a man.
Mm-hmm.
He
Just took a
chopped a
few
man's
hands.
hand off.
It took a few
Yeah, well,
hands.
clearly they were thieves.
Right.
So you know,
Oh
just
boy, just running through the streets. Murderer! Thief! Just pointing everybody out.
he's the announcer. Yeah, the snitch. That's why you don't trust these snitches. You got to do your stuff by yourself. These snitches will get you castrated. Nobody ain't trying to do that. So again, if you never seen Thrones, you get like all the Thrones right here in this episode. And people that watch Thrones know what I'm talking about. So there's a lot going on, but it just goes to show you the level of character development. So is he bad or is he good? Because his reasons for doing it is because we're having the games. And then you got murderers and rapists. Do you want your guests that's coming to support the games raped, murdered, abused?
Right.
No. So the king's like, I can't really be mad at him. What? He cleaned up the city, and at the same time, everyone is on watch now. I'm not murdering anybody. I'm not raping anybody because you've seen what just happened to Derek.
Right.
I'm good, or Lee Derek, or however his name was. Derek was not in the show. You don't have to rewatch the show for Derek. Derek was not in there. It's not an Easter egg. I'm just naming people. Could have been named Derek though. So the city's cleaned up. The game's happening, which is damn near the same thing that's going on. It's brutal. Right. But the point I'm saying is you don't understand his motivations yet. You don't understand what he's going to do. There's a history of incest in the show. Is he going to marry his niece? Is he going to, is this something that's going to happen? Or is he just going to be more like a mentor and try to guide her through positions?
I don't think so.
And be that, and well, is he going to kill her and take over himself? I mean, you can't just kill royalty. I think we all know that. You can't just like roll up on the queen and be like, especially right. Since there was no, it's more like, so you know, because even if you never watched Game of Thrones, if you're familiar with the character Jaime Lannister, he was known as the King Killer. He killed the king. Again, these names stay with you. So the shame of he's a king killer. He's a mighty king killer. But saying it in a way like you have no loyalty to your king. You're less than a man, you're trash. So you have to walk around with these titles, and it's like, shit, I might have shouldn't have killed him. Because your life is now harder than it would have been if you were a normal peasant. If you are a peasant, you have more respect than someone who slayed a king because you basically betrayed your oath. Because at the time, I believe he was a knight. So think of a knight, the king crowns you to be a part of his guard, and I'm going to kill him. That don't look good on your resume. I'm just letting you know they're not going to hire you if you got treason on your resume. I guarantee you that. So a lot's going on in this show. I can respect it as being a Thrones fan. I like it, but I think the more important thing is to ask Spider, is it super? To you? Just exposed to the lore and the world of Game of Thrones, is it super? Is it enough for you to, because you already alluded that, you're not sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for Sunday, like, I can't wait to get that Thrones in, because, I need that Targaryen dragon stuff.
Chasing a dragon?
You're chasing. I liked how they came out with a dragon, but the dragon was 100% new. You never seen a golden dragon. I just want to throw that out there. So Thanks for that. Yeah, the other dragons were like more dragony, and I had never seen a dragon like in real life. So why can't they be gold? Give the motherfucker a unicorn if you want to, but it's a dragon, so you respect it or you get burned.
So we saw Damon's dragon. Damon's dragon is all black. Has there been an all black dragon before?
Dude, in Thrones,
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for you because you might want to watch Thrones.
I guarantee you I'm not gonna back and watch.
Trust me, you might want to watch Thrones.
No. I'm telling you, I'm not going back and watching it.
There's an ice dragon.
Okay.
Dude, just down. You know what? What else you saw? Damn ice dragon. Like you just like, oh, I saw that last week when I was over there rally, man. I saw that ice dragon. You don't see ice dragons like they encapsulated an ice dragon perfectly. Like, okay, I can see. See, this is not giving
like
you.
I said, and it's nothing to say because from everything that I've heard from anybody who's ever watched Game of Thrones and they've told me about it, the show was really good. A lot of people enjoyed it. It was one of the highest rated shows on HBO for almost the entire time that.
Oh yeah, they held HBO down.
Yeah,
like people were getting subscriptions for Thrones. Like HBO ain't crazy. They went up on their rates around Thrones coming out. Dude, we had Game of Thrones wine. Oh yeah, oh yes, yes sir. And again, it looks like it may be exactly that because I'm not gonna say it's the flagship show for HBO. They got a lot of other good content over there. But if they are looking to have somebody emerge from the ashes of what was the old, this says all of that and then some. I think it did a great job of separating itself from what it was and still gave you everything that you loved about Thrones in this, enough to keep you invested to say, we know what that was. We understand, and we can't do anything about that. But if you allow us to take you on this journey, I think you'll be happily pleased with everything that you're going to see. Now, come episode 2, we might watch it and say, "Oh, they dropped the goddamn ball spider. What the hell are they doing? It's some bullshit." But as of right now, I think episode 1 encapsulated everything about Thrones that you would love if you never saw it. And if you saw it, but if you never saw it, you might be like Spider, like, I could watch dragons or I can go and walk my dog. I think I'll walk my dog. So, and it's okay. You clearly don't like gold dragons. Why are you so dragon racist?
Dragon racist. But to answer the question, is it super? For me, like you said, it's something for. I think that people who have watched Game of Thrones, they have more of a connection to it. So it's something that I think that a lot of people who have watched Game of Thrones is something that they're looking forward to. I haven't. I don't have that connection. That connection
what do you need?
Could be
built.
What do you need? I don't know what I need because I don't know.
You need a wizard in a hat?
I don't need a wizard.
Is that what it is? Or you need a sorcerer in a hat?
You need a sorcerer with a hat. A sorcerer with a hat is a wizard.
So you need a sorcerer with a hat. You need orcs? What do you need? You just said that you watched the other one, and then you want to watch this one. Doesn't have orcs. This one doesn't have elves. It has man.
I didn't care about zombies, the orcs. I didn't care about the elves. I didn't look.
What you like about the rings? You need a ring in this.
All you need a hobbit. It was a movie. I went to go see the movie. That's basically the cut and dry of it.
Oh, okay. I think you would appreciate this one more.
Asking me what I need out of a show that I have no reference for, I can't say, "Oh, I need this," then I'll be into it because it's not like I need this specific thing in order for me to enjoy the show. I don't even want to hear what you think that I need.
I know what you need. You need a Brianna of Troy. That's true. That's what you need. And you had to watch Thrones to know who that is.
So then I don't know that I need that.
Well, I know you need it.
But for episode 1, I'll say that it's approaching super. Like I said, I'm not on the edge of my seat, yearning for the next episode.
Where? I don't even know how to. Is that a Is that an ATS first right there? It's an approaching a super.
No, we had I that was like my whole entire season of Moon Knight. I thought Moon Knight was going to approach Super, and it just at the
And
end it fell
how?
off.
It's like,
No, so it's not it's
yes,
not an ATS
yes.
first.
Oh
Yeah, that's pretty
no,
much what we got at the end of Moon Knight. But no,
goddamn
it's
Moon
not an
Knight.
ATS first. But it because I'm not gonna say that it's not super, because if I would have said that it's not super, then that just totally meant that I don't even want to watch the next episode. So I'm definitely not saying that it's not super, but
So you do want to watch the next episode, but you don't want to sit on the edge of your seat.
I do want to watch the next episode, but it's not like I'm sitting there on Sunday evening waiting for, I think it's 8 o'clock Eastern time or whatever time the episode comes out. I'm not waiting for that clock to tick to the next minute so I can hit play and watch the episode. I'm not at
Dude,
that point.
you are clearly not planning. Then you should have your popcorn, your drink, your zuzus,
It
your snacks.
it's not, no, it hasn't grabbed me. I'm not that invested into it. I could literally be watching something else and be like, oh yeah, I do have the I gotta watch House of the Dragon.
Here's my prediction. Here's the ATS super. I mean, ATS prediction for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I predict by the end of this season, Spider is going to say Dragons is super.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first. Prediction. Write it down. Take the timestamp.
I'm sorry, I was trying to get it out.
Your microphone
It hurt.
completely cut you off.
You know, it doesn't like me. That's what it is.
It just doesn't like it when you're loud.
Well, clearly it doesn't know which show it's for that.
But I'm pretty sure I don't even have to ask a question, but I will ask a question, Mr. VIP Frankie Washington. Episode 1 of HBO Max, Game of Thrones House of the Dragon. Is it super?
Listen, I think everybody's going to know what I'm going to say at this point. If you haven't been watching the show, you have no idea. But if you watch the show, you can clearly see I'm going to lean towards the goddamn right is super. That was 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the point of what I'm saying, it is super. It's everything that's in Game of Thrones times 2 in one episode. It was impressive, the world building that they were able to do with some short dialogue, a quick flashback, and then bam, little more text, and then you're right into it. You're seeing the first thing you see is this girl on a dragon. You thinking instantly, Danny. Nope, not Danny. This is a new girl. And the way they cut her in and showed her panned up from the feet up, this is not Danny. This is someone else. And she's already got a dragon. And she knows how to control it. She's dealing with so much as a character. This is our focal character that we're following. Mm-hmm. She's taking on a kingdom. She's not even 12. A kingdom. Like, she has people that's pledging loyalty. Do you understand how serious this is? It's like a situation like any of these people that pledge loyalty to you can murder you in your sleep and take the kingdom for themselves. Like, it's not like a small thing that you're putting on a child, and he knows that he's putting it on a child. That's why he's in front of this dragon skull telling her the secrets of the kingdom. Mm-hmm. We don't control dragons. That's a lie. These things can kill you at any point in time.
Right.
We may communicate them with a little better than they can, but it's the illusion that we control them that gives us so much power.
Right.
So don't get too comfortable with these dragons, and at the same time, use that to your advantage. And by the way, there's a threat coming that we need to prepare for. You got to unite everyone. You're a woman. They don't even want to listen to you.
Right.
So how are you going to unite all these people to fight a threat that you don't even know how serious it is? Oh my God. All this is stacked up against this young girl. And then I think the young girl likes the young girl. And there's going to be heartbreak in that because she's going to get pregnant with someone that can potentially take your throne right when you get comfortable with thinking that you're navigating this thing and you might got a hand on it. Guess what? Potential threat again. Someone's coming to dethrone you. So there's so much going on. Is it super? had to take that aggression out on the microphone because it wouldn't let me say, Super, you need to be watching this. Like, I don't know what you're watching. Stop watching a cooking show and watch this. This is something that you need to watch.
People like to cook.
And they should send. No, I'm not going to say that because some people will be putting like raisins in potato salad, so we don't want food from everybody. We don't want food from everybody, so just make your TikToks. Do that. Make your TikToks. Let us see if you season your chicken or if it's as white as drywall.
Or white as the White Walkers.
No, they had color. Cool. The drywall is all white. I'm talking about. Woo! Damn it, man. Listen, if you're not watching House of Dragons, I don't really know what you're doing. You're not going to be able to have a conversation at the water cooler. I can tell you that because everyone's going to be watching this show. I think it's the #1 show on HBO right now, right? Am I wrong?
Surprised if it is. I would be surprised if it isn't.
Well, you're the analytics man. I thought you were doing the analytic thing.
Man, you can't just draw as a statistic and expect me to know off the top of my head. You can say, look it up for me for a second.
Well, that's normally what I do. So I just thought, hey, well, the point of what we were saying is, listen, watch Game of Thrones, House of Dragons. If you would never watched Game of Thrones before, you're okay. You're good. You're starting from the beginning. If you have watched Game of Thrones before, this is everything that you loved about Thrones in episode 1. And can't wait to see where it goes. Spider, what you got with that weird finger? You look like a Sneer Hall. Yes, I'm dating myself in this episode.
Nearly 10 million people tuned in to watch Game of Thrones House of the Dragon on Sunday, making it the most watched series premiere in HBO and HBO Max history.
Well, I think that sums it up.
Awful show.
If you want something to talk about at the water cooler, this is commentation right here. And look, listen, as much as we captions, this is why we need somebody to spell that out. As much as we hit the horn, we haven't really even talked about everything that happened in the show. There's so much more in the show that's going on. We just kind of gave you a little synopsis, little summary of it. Go watch House of Dragons. Come back, hit the comment section, and say, "I agree with Spider. This shit trash." Or you can say that it's one of the. That's not what I heard.
But you need to get your earbuds checked because obviously you got some audio issues going on in that one.
Tell Apple send us some more earbuds.
Apple, come hit us up.
We need the new ones too, not these. We need the new ones, please. I'm just saying.
But let us know what you thought about episode 1 of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon.
House of Dragons.
Leave us a comment.
I was excited.
Let us know if you watched it. Let us know. Let us know if you watched Game of Thrones, if you watched all the seasons, if you're all caught up, or if you just kind of dabbled into it. Maybe it wasn't for you, but maybe you want to come back and watch House of the Dragon, see if it'll take you back in. Just let us know what your comfortability.
Don't come in timid though. Yeah, if you coming in and you like, here's a disclaimer.
Here we go.
If you prick your finger, like if you get like a small little incision on your finger, like a prick or a scratch, and you're like, oh my god, that's too much. Oh, this is not a show for you, right? Yeah, because that blood, you're like, if you can't see blood, this is not a show for you. This is
not a family-friendly show.
This is not a family-friendly show.
Absolutely.
There's incest.
TVMA.
Well, there's known incest. There's blood. There's gore. There's you know what? Dr. Strange was right. The warning should come in the front. We put it at the end. Let us know if you guys are gonna watch House of Dragons. This is ATF.
They really should put the warnings at the front.
They really should put the warning at the front. What did you click on?
But if you like the video, go ahead, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the
I
channel and
can't
hit the
stop
bell.
crossing universes.
Hit the bell so you can be notified when we have a new episode come out. Remember, if you want the audio version of the podcast, you can find us on all of your major podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to reach out to us and join in the conversation, you can tweet at us at ATSuperPod. But, you know, we're going to watch episode 2. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about it again. And we'll see where the story goes.
If somebody doesn't watch it, I'll just have to run the show by myself.
It'll be a solo show with Mr. VIP Frankie Washington. We'll see how well that works out.
No one wants to see that. No one wants to see that, dude. I can promise you.
But until next time, thank you all so much. We appreciate it, but we'll see you in the next episode.